Get ready for some laughs and some good times on Comedy Simp, where we let loose and unwind. Hosted by Steve and Michael James, he's the man. Bringing you jokes and fun, it's all part of the plan. Join us for a ride, let's take it to the max. Comedy Simp, where the laughter never ends. Steve and Michael James, he's your new best friend. Get ready to smile, get ready to cheer, because Comedy Simp is finally here.
All right, dude. We are here, Jake E.T.
How you doing?
What's happening, Playboy?
Yeah, happy to be here on the Simp, Comedy
The
Simp.
Comedy Simp podcast. Well, hey, man, it's
Thanks for having me.
beautiful night here in Kirkland, Whiskey Mile. It's pretty warm. You know, you and I are feeling the heat a little bit.
Oh yeah, cooling down with a cold Corona.
So how is Jake, man? How are you doing these days? How's your life?
My life is actually going pretty good right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. Things are going well in a lot of different aspects of my life.
Yeah?
Comedy and my work, real estate during the day, and my family life at home. Everything's going pretty good.
So how long you been doing real estate?
I've been doing real estate for 15 years.
Damn. Okay, so you know everything that's been going on the last, 5 years or so, because I bought my house at the beginning of 2020, literally the month COVID happened. Like, COVID wasn't even a thing when I bought my house.
Yeah.
And then a year later, we were kind of thinking about maybe wanting to move because we live pretty far out there. We live in Granite Falls. And we saw our house was worth a lot of money, a lot more money than we bought it for. The problem was there was nothing available. I think this was like mid-2021, 22. It was tough. So what was that like for you during those years?
It's the last few years has been pretty slow. And there's still properties moving, but it's not as much. The volume is just not as much. And as many real estate agents that are out there, pretty much everybody knows a real estate agent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're either in their family or in their friend circle, whatever. Now, whether they want to work with that person or not, that's up for question. But no, it's been good. It's been consistently slow, basically, for the last few years. But that's all the agents that I know are kind of like that.
So have you had any experience with, like, foreign buyers or anything like that, or is it just pretty much local people?
Quite a few. Well, not foreign buyers as in people moving in from out of country.
But people who are just out of country just buying for their portfolios and stuff.
Yes, there has been a couple like LLC purchases and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Ones where it's not necessary, like you're not meeting the people that are buying it. You're meeting a representative for somebody who's buying it for an LLC. I see a little bit of that, but my colleagues, other agents, see more of it than I do, because I don't advertise a lot with my real estate business. Mainly, it's just personal friends and referrals that I work with. So, just about everybody I work with, I have worked with, knows me personally, or is a direct referral from somebody who knows me personally. So.
You've built up that client base over the years and the friends and all that, referrals. And
well, I was a stay-at-home dad, and so when I joined, literally it was like 2008 or whatever it was, like I said, 15 years ago, 2009.
Which was probably the worst time to go into real estate.
There wasn't any sales going on at all.
There was the financial crisis, the banks, the collapse. I suggest everybody see that movie with Christian Bale. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Was it like The Big Short? The Big Short. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
I liked
exactly how everything kind of worked out.
So
I joined it when I joined.
Was that happening, or was that over by the time you started?
No. I was right. I joined right. I started real estate right when that was happening.
So was that here?
So I got a lot of.
Was that here in Washington?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I got my license in Bellevue, and worked out of Kirkland at my first job. But what it was is there was a lot of time for training. There was, what I mean. There wasn't a lot of house deals going on because of that. So there was a lot of training that I could go to, and basically just 5-6 days a week, just going to different here and there trainings and a lot of online trainings. figuring out the
Yeah,
game.
I've done a few sales trainings a little bit in some previous jobs. And it's pretty interesting. I don't know what they did with you when you started, but they really, the previous job that I had, it felt like there's a lot of like kind of psychological tricks on like trying to identify people's personalities and tell them what they want to hear in a certain way. And like the dominant guys, you want to let them do all the talking, and the people that are really safety conscious, you want to explain all the good things about the house, the safe things about the house. And but yeah, so it's very interesting. And you've been doing it a long time. Have you found like a certain style of house that you like? Do you have a neighborhood that you would like to live in one day? Is there like, what do you like, what's your experience in all this, because you've been all around? I mean,
I've
guess
seen a lot of different houses.
Yeah.
Everything from just from vacant land to trailers to $1 million lakefront properties, mainland. So I've seen all that. I think I knew what kind of house I want to end up in before that, because I worked construction before, when I was younger.
Yeah.
In my late teens, I worked construction. And I worked for a company called Lockwood Lozier, and they did the custom homes, like the Street of Dreams homes, they did them around like Issaquah and the Redmond Plateau and everything. And so I worked in some of those, and that's when I really figured out, like, I know for a fact, like, I think my next property I live in will be a lakefront property.
Yeah.
I want to live on a lake. I want a dock where I can get up in the morning, walk out, and like dive in the lake. I want to be able to do that. And it doesn't even have to be a huge house, just a nice house, with some fun amenities to it. But definitely a lakefront property is where I'm going to be going. That's going to be my forever home.
In California where I grew up, there are lakes. I mean, there's Lake Tahoe is a big one. Near me was Lake Berryessa, which is famous for the Zodiac Killer. He had a killing there. But moving up here, like, I live near Lake Stevens, and so I went to Lake Stevens when I first moved up here and just took a look, like walked in the park, the dock. And the first thing I thought, I just looked around and I was like, wow, man, this place looks like a movie. Like, I feel like I'm in a like a Hugh Grant movie or a Friday the 13th movie. Like, it's just, like, it was just so beautiful. And every lake up here in Washington has been that way that I've seen. I've seen Lake Sammamish. I've seen, what's that one over there in Shoreline area? Ballinger? Is that what it is? Ballinger? Lake Ballinger,
yeah,
that's
there's Echo Lake. There's Lake Ballinger.
There's like
a couple
a
different
golf
lakes
course built around. There's and it's just like everything is just so picturesque up here, And whereas
there's tons of hidden lakes too, not like lakes. So the bigger named lakes, but if you go and look at a topical map, there's a whole bunch of little small there's like 15, 20 houses on a little private lake, and there's tons of those little ponds everywhere around here. So I like lakefront, but as far as real estate, it's when you're helping friends and family, when you're helping anybody, it's just figuring out what what anybody else wants and helping them buy that. So, I've helped people move into some houses that I didn't think they should buy.
Really?
You know what I mean? But that's what they want. I'm like, I tell them, my opinion. If it's not a good idea for them, if I just don't like the house, I don't say that. But if it's not a good idea for them, that's it.
Now, have you ever run into people buying houses together that aren't married or even in relationships, like just people that just want to co-own a house together?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more people aren't doing it. If you can, because there's ways you can write up the purchase and write up the how the title is written up and how the loans are, if there's loans and everything involved, which there's most likely going to be.
Yeah.
There's ways to write that all up where if somebody leaves, it's distributed and it's all worked out. And you can choose how it is. It's not one blanket way that everybody works out. So, I think buying a house with as minimal amount of people as possible and then renting rooms out is a great way for anybody who's in the position to do it.
I have a lot of friends that are kind of my age, and they're all struggling, man. It's inflation, jobs. I mean, you get paid $30 an hour and still struggle because it's so tough out there. And if there are people out there that can trust each other, I definitely think probably doing that is the way to go, because rents are only going to continue to go up. And getting a house is like literally the best thing that ever could have done.
I definitely suggest. Living with people is always hard. Even living with your wife is hard.
Yeah. In-laws.
But yeah, but I mean, if anybody's gonna do that, I would suggest definitely knowing that person
Yeah.
for a long time, living with that person.
Family would be good, I think, if you like,
Yeah, good or bad, man.
Well,
It goes both ways.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So as far as that goes, living with family, I take in strays all the time.
yeah.
My wife doesn't care for it, but I've had multiple cousins.
Yeah.
Like a cousin ended up homeless for a little while or whatever. I'm like, nope, come and live in my basement.
Yeah.
And it turns into a week turns into 6 months.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
yeah. But
So you from here? You grew up here in Washington, or
in Washington, Western Washington all my life.
Spokane, or no, Western?
Just Western
here.
Washington.
So Bothell, kind of.
So my thing is, I grew up simultaneous both. So I was one of those things where my parents separated before I was born.
Oh, okay.
Like they hooked up, separated.
Yeah.
So I lived between, out in the middle of the sticks, a place called Humptulips, which is literally outside of Aberdeen.
Oh, wow,
Like 24
okay.
miles
Yeah,
outside of
yeah.
Aberdeen. So I was born in Aberdeen Hospital.
Yeah.
So I was born in Aberdeen. And I spent my time like the summers and stuff in Humptulips, playing out in the woods.
Yeah.
And then like downtown Seattle, North Seattle, shoreline area with my mom, and then Kirkland. So basically, around North Seattle and out in the middle of the sticks.
Aberdeen's a strange place. I've only been there one time. I went to Ocean Shores with my family, and we stopped at the Kurt Cobain Park and stuff like that. But
I hung out at all those same places. I'm about the same age too, so
Yeah,
I'm sure I ran into them at some point.
Man, it kind of feels depressing around there. Like it looks like a lot of the houses haven't been kept, and stuff like that. And it's probably rough out there. I mean, I imagine that not a lot of economy. I mean, and I love Ocean Shores is so beautiful.
Yeah.
But as we were driving, we decided to drive like all around like the peninsula or something like that. And there were so many empty houses.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I would love to, I don't know if they're vacation houses or if they're just unsold houses, but it's just like,
It's a very depressed area.
it's
for
like,
sure.
I would love to live there, but it's like, what would I do for a living? This and that, it's just, but it's.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an internet job or something like that, you could
Yeah.
buy a nice property. You know what I mean? Fix it up and
Yeah.
But so when I was a teenager, which was a long time ago, I mean, we're talking about early '90s. It was way different. Like the meth hadn't taken over.
Yeah.
The biggest issue in the area was like the spotted owl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the loggers with the spotted owl. That was what everybody talked about, not homelessness or drug
So
addiction.
you were in high school when all the Seattle stuff was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
what?
spent the early '90s.
how
I
did-
graduated in '94.
Was there a lot of because there's not a lot of bands from Sacramento. So anybody from Sacramento, there's a lot of pride with the bands from that area. So when those bands were blowing up, were you guys really excited that they were from your area, or did it not matter? Was it just like they were just good bands?
Yeah, no, they were really good bands.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really had like pride that they were from our area. I liked that I got to see them all the time.
Yeah.
I got babysit when I was like 11, 12, 13, 14. I was watched by my older cousins and Glenn and Chris. And Chris was good friends with a lot of the guys from like Grunge Truck and Tad.
Oh yeah,
dude,
See,
yeah,
I
so,
know.
like,
I know
the
a lot
OK
about
Hotel down on the waterfront.
Yeah, I knew a
that
lot
was
about
yeah.
Seattle just as a kid from California. I loved Nirvana when I was a teenager, so I watched. There was this documentary called Hype that came out, and it had a lot of featured a lot of these unknown bands that a lot of people didn't know about, and talked about the history on, Green River and Mother Love Bone, which turned into Pearl Jam, stuff like that. But yeah, Tad's one of those bands I know about Tad for sure, and like shout out to Tad. I don't know if they're still around.
But apparently he used to crash at my cousin's house. But like my cousin would take me. I remember a couple of times. I must have been like 13 years old, and he'd watch me, and Chris would take me to the OK Hotel, and they would give me a cowbell, and I would sit like side backstage with all the band's girlfriends and sit there and ring the cowbell. And that's the only way they could get me in the club. Oh man, there was a couple of times I had a beer or two. All day, and I was puking out the side of the car door.
What?
13 years old.
So you were going to concerts when you were pretty young, then, huh? Like, who were you seeing when you were that age?
Oh, just when I was being snuck in to those bands, just whatever local grunge band was playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't even know the name of them at that point. But yeah, when I was like, as soon as like I did a lot of concerts from the time I was like 16 to 21, like tons and tons. I love Anthrax, Slayer, Megadeth for the Clash of the Titans tour.
Yes.
I saw Pink Floyd up at BC Place. You know what I
Nice.
mean? We went to the Gorge so many times.
Yeah. I've still never been there. I've driven by there. I really wanted to go for
You haven't had your first experience. You haven't broke your cherry of walking over.
No.
Oh, okay. You're gonna remember this when you do it, and you'll remember me saying this. The first time you walk over the hill,
Yeah.
and the Gorge is presented to the stage
Yeah.
and everything is presented to you. It's just you're just gonna stand there in awe. It's just amazing. You're like, okay, this is my place. This is my people.
I would
love
love to
this.
go for the Fully Loaded Fest. You know,
Yeah.
the Burt Kreischer and all the comedians. I think that would be fun. You know, obviously music as well. I'm just not a EDM guy, so I'm not going to Bass Canyon or anything like that. But
Yeah, I don't do a lot of house music. There was a point in time I did some house music. I
Yeah.
dated a girl for a couple of years that she was a DJ, so we always had house music and break beats and beats going on in the house. But no, I've seen rock over there, BB King, the Blues Festival.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I saw Heart too. I saw Heart.
Metallica.
I saw Heart in like 2007 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I got free tickets from the radio. It was Heart and Sammy Hagar, and me and my dad went. And
I think it was at that show.
no, I was in California, but they probably did a show. They're probably doing a promo thing
So
together.
I went to a tour like that.
Yeah,
anyway.
they probably did a lot of stuff like that. You know, Steve Miller was doing a lot of stuff like that. But no, they were great. Like, I mean, obviously they're legends. But the one thing I remember is this woman was there with her son, and she's like, "Are those men smoking pot?" She was totally Karen before Karen, and walked over and was telling these guys like, "Hey, my son is here," and stuff like that. And I was just like, these bands wouldn't even be popular if not for pot, right? I mean, you know, Sammy Hagar, right? You know, he's fucking Mr. Party Animal. So
Yeah.
you are my brother's age, pretty much. I mean, my brother's born in '76. So I'm not sure
Yep.
what.
That's how I was born in
Yeah,
76,
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm kind of jealous because he got to experience kind of that decade, you know, '90s and stuff like that. At an older age. I'm kind of obsessed a little bit with the late '90s because that's kind of when I started to listen to music and get into stuff. I remember one of the things that drew me to Seattle was The Real World on MTV. They had a Seattle season here in the '90s.
I remember that.
And I actually just found it recently because it's hard to find because in the show one of the dudes slaps one of the girls, and it was a big deal at the time. And you know, when they filmed that stuff, that was way before digital and digital rights, and you know, a lot of stuff isn't on streaming because people don't want to sign the rights. They don't, you know, and I'm sure the girl that got slapped was like, no, I don't want to remember that. I don't want people to remember that. Like, so I did watch it recently. And, yeah, so do you remember the late 90s Seattle a little bit with, like, the Starbucks and the tech stuff? Because it seemed like it was getting away from the grunge and all that, and it was what was that? I just don't really know.
Yeah, I was 23 when
I talked to Jeff, who's our sound guy here, about that, too, because he was in a band. And there's just not a lot of history about the late 90s, early 2000s of this area. Like, what was that like at the time?
It was still. I actually lived downtown Seattle during that time.
Yeah.
So
9/11, 2001, that kind of, you know.
yeah, that's the year I met my wife.
Uh-huh.
Actually, it was 2001, right after 9/11
Uh-huh.
in October. No, and I was 23 for 1999 when
Yeah.
the whole thing switched. So Y2K.
Yeah, I remember
and-
Y2K. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody was
thought
so
everything
nervous
was
about
gonna
that.
Flip out.
Yeah.
All the clocks were gonna hit zeros, and everybody's gonna freak out, and nukes were gonna be launched and everything, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
No, dude, the end of the 99s were really fun.
Mhm.
No one really thought anything bad was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it was right around the corner, and then bam, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
2001. But no, it's concerts were fun. It still seemed like there wasn't a lot of people. Like you'd go to a show, and it just wasn't packed. Now sometimes
Yeah.
you go to a park or you go to
Everything's packed
that
now.
old little
It's
secret
crazy.
secret spot on the river where there's a rope
Yeah.
swing or something like that. And now you get there and there's 50, 60 people there.
I feel like when I was younger,
It seems like there wasn't back then.
Yeah, but also in California, it just depends because it's so hot. People don't even want to be out. So I remember just in California, just walking around many parks by myself because nobody's there. And here, they love the outdoors up here, man. Like, there's people hiking every day there's this one trail that I pass through on my way home, and it goes from like Snohomish to Arlington, and every day that parking lot is packed. And look, I don't hate hiking. I actually kind of enjoy it, but I like to think of hiking as an adventure. So I want to go to the beach. I want to hike to the beach. I want to hike to a waterfall.
There's got to be a destination.
Yeah, I don't like
the
just
peak of a mountain with an overlook
Yeah.
or something.
But not hiking on just a flat paved surface, not that fun to me. But I see people doing it every single day.
That's just path jogging.
Maybe
That's
yeah,
not even hiking.
yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. To me, you gotta hike to a destination, to a lake, and you gotta do a shot when you get there. Even if you pack even if it's just a couple shots you pack. You get there, you get to the top of the mountain, whatever.
I have never done a shot. I've smoked weed. I've done a joint.
Take a joint, something like that, yeah.
You know, brought a beer. I brought a sour in a backpack.
Just
That was
anything
nice.
To celebrate the trip.
Yeah, I had some over in Lake Berryessa. I was talking about earlier. That hike was rough. It was a big loop hike, and there was actually this big cool cliff. And me and my friends, we were such idiots. We would go when it was dark and bring our flashlights, and we would have nothing but like flashlights and weed and like maybe one water bottle. And we'd hike up to this windy ass freaking, like, we could fall off and die if we took the wrong step. And we would just do this shit all the time, you know? And then on our way down, we're just like constantly tripping because we're not looking at the floor beneath us, and then we're hearing all these sounds, like thinking there's wolves that are going to attack us at any moment, you know. And it's just
taking a hike on a little bit of mushrooms.
So it's mushrooms, that'd be scary. Yeah, but
if you know the trail,
I think, and I don't know a lot of younger people, but I feel like maybe a lot of young people are missing out on that adventure kind of thing, because I heard somebody on another podcast talk about this. When I was young, for some reason, there was always a story about somebody finding a bag of porno mags. You know,
I've found porns in the woods before.
I found porn in a Payless Shoe Source bag in the bushes of an apartment complex with my friend, and it's like, you know. And when's the last time you saw a porn magazine? I haven't seen one in a long time, right?
Yeah. Well, when my wife and I owned a porn store in Olympia back in the day.
Wow, this is a scoop here. I didn't even know this.
Yeah, about 20 years ago, we owned it was called Pleasure Connoisseurs, a romance boutique.
Oh wow!
And we actually sold some magazines, and we had some porn comics.
Yeah.
And there was this one guy we called him Comic Book Guy.
I call myself a porn comic.
Yeah. Nice.
But
what would your porn comic name be?
Oh God, it would be.
It's got to have 3 names to it.
Well, so I did hear this girl say something about like men are obsessed with slim, thick women, and I'm like, slim, thick. I was like, what the hell is that? That's like an oxymoron. I was like, that's how I describe my penis as big, little. Little, big. I don't know.
Hey, it may be short, but at least it's skinny, right?
It's I don't know. It's decent. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask the people, because I have heard that the average size is from 4 to 5 inches, and if that's the case, well then I'm above average. So, you know.
That's good.
Yeah.
I've heard there's women online that'll you can pay them to rate it. So.
You know, there are men. This is a whole. There is an epidemic. I'm not part of this, also because I'm married just like you. But there is an epidemic of men who do not know how to talk to women, who also send unsolicited dick pics constantly. There's just a couple girls I talk to that say they get them almost every day.
I've heard that.
You know,
I have never sent
have you
one.
ever?
I have never
me
sent.
neither, man.
I've only sent probably literally a handful of dick pics in my life, and to my wife. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, dick pics to send a dick pic before my wife, it was like Polaroids. You know what I mean? Fucking. No, I don't, and I've never sent an unsolicited dick pic ever in my life. And I can't believe some women apparently get like unsolicited. That just seems the weirdest fucking thing. Here's a picture of my dick without you even asking.
Yeah, and then I see women will post the screenshots of the conversations, and usually the opening line is like, hey, let me fuck, or let me hit that, or stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't know, Jake. Do we need to educate the young men on on how to talk to women? I mean,
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, granted, that is sometimes how I talk to my wife, but that's after 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I pull it out. We fuck. Yeah, we fuck now.
But I think the most important thing, and people, they need to stop thinking of women as objects, right?
For
I
sure.
mean, there is sex with, a person, and then there's sex with somebody that you love, right? And somebody that you know. And I always feel like the latter is always better, And I feel like
Not always better, but generally better.
Yeah. I mean,
not always better.
Overall, if you're gonna rate the average,
I'd
the
say
average.
there could be probably some strange that would top the charts too.
Sure, yeah. I mean, depends on what you're going for.
Depends on what they do.
I just feel like when the partner knows you better and knows what you like, you just have a better time. And then if it's also, if you go into it just trying to please and not trying to just make yourself happy, ends up being a good time.
Yeah.
So, and I think that just goes straight with conversation too. Like, listen to what the woman has to say, Maybe you're not interested. Maybe they might actually have something interesting to say, Like, I have, the reason I'm with mine for so long is because we talk a lot about things that nobody else talks, that I can talk about with, that people just don't get, and it's cool. It's cool to be able to have that, and
Yeah.
But
I don't have that. We're completely opposite.
Yeah. Well, what was it? I mean, when you met your wife, I mean, kind of, was it an easy romance? Did it take a little bit to get into it? Was she resistant of you, or was she just charmed by you right away?
No, I think she was kind of charmed by me kind of right away. We had kind of interesting. So I was living on Lake Sammamish, and she was living in Redmond, right up the way, a couple miles away. I was working for a tile company at the time, and one of my coworkers was the bassist for a band, and they were playing their first live show at the Ballard Firehouse.
Nice.
And so I went to go see them, and I brought a couple of my friends with me. Well, when I first got there, I needed a chair, and I walked over there. There was this table with three little blondes, cute little blondes at it, and I walked over and I borrowed a chair from them. Okay, that was the end of that. Well, she apparently was friends with the band too. And so she was talking to the band. She saw me talking with the band. And that was all that happened at that time. We both left. I actually went to the truck with my friends, smoked a blunt, and I was going to get back on the freeway to go home when she pulled up next to me in the fucking car at the stoplight. And I rolled down my window and I'm like, pull over, let's talk. And she pulled over on the side of the on-ramp onto the freeway.
Oh, wow.
And I sat there and talked to her, got her number. We found out that we lived like 2 miles from each other. But I'm from Aberdeen, and she's from Elma, which is right next to each other. So we're both from the harbor. So we fucking, as soon as she knew I was from Humptulips, she was like, all right, you got to come over, and we're going to talk about this, find out if we're related or not.
It's crazy, dude, because me and my wife, we grew up pretty much an hour from each other in different towns, didn't know each other. And then when we met each other, it was even a totally different place,
Yeah. So kind of the same thing.
It's crazy, The world works in mysterious ways. I am not a religious person, but I have said that I'm starting to believe more and more that things happen for a reason. Like,
definitely things light up. For sure. There's something working out there.
Like when our presidential candidate moves his head and doesn't get killed. That's pretty. That's not just luck. I feel like something is divine intervention, or, I mean. It's pretty wild. That happened last Saturday when I was doing a comedy show with Nick. So, I think it happened during the day. I didn't see it, but I could definitely feel the vibes in the air,
Yeah. I heard about it hours and hours after it happened, and then I was like, did it really get shot? Then I watched it. Oh, yeah, he got shot.
The thing is, I don't, like most of the people that I know, they don't talk open politically, but... What have you seen on Facebook and stuff? Have you seen
a whole bunch of hate?
Have you seen a lot?
Just a whole bunch of hate. I mean, I get so tired of the hate. People saying, just I don't know, just hateful, mean things. And then people say hateful, mean things again, and it's all personal attacks against people. I don't get it. So I scroll right past all that shit.
Yeah, man.
I don't care for the trolls.
As a comedian, it's tough. It's tough to make fun of things because you don't want to be mean. Well, it just depends on who you are. You know, like I don't like being mean. I like making people laugh. Yeah. So it's like that's a hard line. That how do you make fun of something without being mean, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you can master that, you
I don't like being mean. I'm not a mean person in general.
Yeah.
People have asked me to do roast battles and stuff, and I'm like, I just. Like, if I say something about you that's mean, it's probably because I feel that I'm saying something real. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I don't like hurting people.
I'm kind of thinking of it as a chance.
If I say something that I believe and it hurts your feelings, fucking I'll be it.
Yeah.
But, I'm gonna try.
Well, I did reach out to some of the roast battle people from like Tacoma and haven't heard back. But I think if I was going to do one, I would take it as a challenge to try and come up with stuff that's funny but not. You know, like especially, like I don't like making fun of people's weight. You know, that's a big thing. I got like body issues. Even me being the size I am, I used to be 214, which is not that much, but you know, when you have no muscle and you got man titties, you know, it's not a good look. So you know, it's I don't like to make fun of people's like appearance and stuff like that. And I think more. If it was like some of the ideas I would come up with, is more like making fun of their taste in music, making fun of their clothing,
or
you know?
habits. Weird
habits. Yeah. And that's, you know, you can really kill people if you find the right angle. You know, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be an asshole. You know. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a good way to do it, and some people have a real talent for it.
Yeah.
Like
Jeff Ross. So I saw Jeff Ross and Dave Attell in 2019. And, you know, Jeff Ross, he's the roast master, you know. Yeah. And it was up in Bow, Washington, which is like where I think it's the Skagit Casino, maybe. Okay. And they brought up people from the audience and, you know, kind of roasted them a little bit. And like this one lady, he was like, "What do you do for work?" And she's like, "I'm a manager." And he's like, "Where are you a manager?" And she's all the Dollar Tree. And instantly people were just laughing at that, like at the prospect of what he was going to say, you know. And then it was fun, you know. You know, both those guys, they get you, but it doesn't hurt, you know. It's
I love a good roast.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
When have you always wanted to do comedy, or is it because I feel I feel like in a job like you have, you're just casually joking with people on the regular.
Yes,
you know?
and I'm always joking with people, but my love for comedy started at a very specific time. I was 12 years old. It was in the summer. I was in Humptulips, and Humptulips. Yeah,
I'm gonna go there.
That's where I grew up. It's beautiful during the summer. Humptulips.
Yeah.
Literally, there was an old logging landing. It was 5 acres. We built the house that we lived in, like literally built it from scratch.
Uh-huh.
And so I had an outhouse and everything that I went to. So go and poop in the winter, literally like
oh god,
like was going out to a frozen house.
Oh Jesus Christ!
So anyway, but this is the middle of summer, so it was beautiful out, and there was this girl staying with our neighbor, and like 2 houses down is like 4 city blocks. It's country blocks. Mm-hmm. Her name was Katie Roan. Hi, Katie, if you ever see this. But so I was 12. She brought a VHS tape of George Carlin's 1988 special, What Am I Doing in New Jersey? Which I find is one of his absolute best pieces of work. Like, and which is funny because in the George Carlin special, they don't mention it at all. And most people that are George Carlin fans or think they know a lot about him and don't like him have never watched that specific special. So it's 1988. What Am I Doing in New Jersey? Mm-hmm. But so I watched that, and it's fucking hilarious. Mm. And she taught me how to French kiss. She was a couple years older than me.
Nice,
beautiful blonde, great big, nice, beautiful tits. Mm-hmm. And I was 12, and I think she was 14 or 15. And she taught me how to French kiss, and I fell in love. So I fell in love with George Carlin and her. So sometimes I still get a boner when I watch George Carlin. Just you know, the memories come back, flooding back.
I remember the first girl that I kissed. Oh man, her name was Priscilla. Some people know who she is.
But I just remember, like, it was at school, and, like, it was at the end of, like, the 8th grade, and the guys were, like... And as I'm telling this, I'm just, like, scared because my daughter's 6, so I'm just, like, counting down how old she's going to be when she's a teenager. But, you know, my friends were like, oh, yeah, like, you guys going to go out and stuff like that? I was like, yeah. And then, like, you know, like, you going to kiss her? And then I did, like, a little kiss, you know, a little one. And then, like, I went after school and met her at her house, and she was, like, you know, sitting with her friend and stuff like that. And we talked a bit, and then, like, went to say bye, and then kind of made out on the sidewalk. And, like, I swear to God, man, I had the biggest fucking boner I've ever had in my life. Probably not. It still hasn't been matched to this day. And I was wearing windbreakers. Oh, yeah. And I had to walk home. I had to walk away.
Tuck it in the waistband and go for it.
But, yeah, a lot of testosterone in those early days.
For sure.
But... yeah, but back to the comedy thing. Yeah, I love George Carlin too. But when
so that's when I fell in. I saw George. So I started collecting George Carlin albums. Mm-hmm. I had like 11 or 12 of his albums. This was back before the internet, so I would go to record stores and collect. Like, I had vinyls, I had cassettes. That's all there was. There was a couple of 8-track things. So, but I had like 11 or 12 of his albums. Seen him a couple times. I saw him for my 16th birthday. And then I've loved comedy ever since. Just love stand-up comedy. Been to tons of comedy shows. You know, Paula Poundstone. I mean, just a whole bunch of different, like,
who else have you
throughout
seen?
the years.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Because a lot of these new people, a lot of these newer comics, they don't watch the old comedy. They don't appreciate the old Paula Poundstone was badass back in the day. She was really funny. Like, and definitely, you know, one of the early women comedians that really kind of broke through, and got to give her the props.
Yeah,
man. Paula Poundstone, she was awesome. She was awesome. Yeah.
So a lot of comedians like that. I just saw a lot of shows, and then but what got me actually into comedy was so the pandemic. I spent a lot of time at home.
This is a familiar story that I have a similar story, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, so mine was I spent a lot of time at home just watching comedy and everything.
Yeah.
And then when it got done, the first year that everything was open back up, Laughs Comedy Club, I was going, just to get away from the family, I was going to Laughs for like 5 shows a week. I'd go on their Thursday, and then I'd go see both Friday shows, sometimes both Saturday shows.
Nice.
And I would just hang out in between shows, and I got to know everybody. And
who was performing back then at Laughs?
Like Adam Titler was there a
lot.
Adam
Titler.
Oh man, what's the the Russian guy, he was really funny.
Simon? No, he's not Russian. Sorry, Simon.
No, there was a couple guys. I'm so bad at remembering names.
I
was telling you this
talking
earlier.
about this earlier. You're not good with names.
I'm just not good at my recall, especially with names.
Yeah.
When I want to, is just not good.
Yeah.
I could draw you a picture of them better than I could tell you the names.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the whole first year I went, literally just consistently. I was at Laughs, watching a whole bunch of different well-known comedians come through. Saw Adam Tiller just numerous times.
Yeah.
And laughed every time I saw him. That was so after about a year, I went to Mexico, and I got arrested for driving drunk on a golf cart. And it was so funny because literally in
Mexico.
Yeah, in Isla Morales outside of Cancun.
Okay.
Yeah. That trip was crazy. That was a trip that was started off as 7 days, got extended to 10, and then ended up to be 23 days in Mexico before I came back.
Wow.
And we went from Puerto Vallarta all the way to Cancun, and then the last couple of days I was at Isla Morales. But yeah, so the cop blew the fucking breathalyzer for me and printed out the 0.0 ticket, and I signed it. And he gave me my 5th of Don Julio back, the keys to my golf cart, and I went on my way. And I was like, this is a crazy ass story. So I was telling Angie and Dave at Laughs about it. You know what I mean? Just sitting there bullshitting with them, having a drink, and I was telling them about it, and she was like, if you want to tell that on stage, we'll give you some stage time. And I was like, yeah, I would like to try that. So they gave me 5 minutes a stage time to go do it, and I did 5 minutes, and then Which is funny. So that was it was a Wednesday or Thursday that I went up my very first. Oh, I know. I can tell you what. It was January 6th, the day of the fucking.
The insurrection.
Yeah, the day. The day when they took over the Capitol. I got video footage that I wasn't there. That's for real. That was my first day on stage.
That's
ever.
my alibi, folks.
That's my alibi for real.
I was in. Yeah. There are some. I heard there were some Seattle police officers over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that too. So that was my first time up on stage, and then the next week I was actually watching a show on a Wednesday, and they didn't tell me I was going up, and they. So just to make this to do a little side thing, from that first time I was up through the next week, I had looked up my name for a comedian, and there's actually a well-known comedian named Jacob Williams. That's my real name.
Yeah.
And he's been on a bunch of different shows, Wildin' Out, or I think so. I don't know. But he's got a bunch of different credits. So I was like, fuck, I can't use my real name. So I got to figure out a stage name. That was part of that.
Yeah.
The next week, I'm at Laugh sitting in the crowd, and they go, next up, Jacob Williams. I was like, oh, shit. He's here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to meet this guy. And fucking Adam Tiller, who's announcing it, and he goes, dude, are you going to get up here or not? I was like, oh, shit, I didn't even know I was going up. So that was my second time on stage. I didn't even know I was going up. Did the same bits I did the first time, and then Angie was like, "Now, if you like this, now go practice and come back after a while." And I've played Laughs a couple times since then.
Well, I'll tell you, man.
That's how I got into the comedy.
I've tried really hard to get an audition there, but I don't know. They just don't like me. You know, I filled out the online form. I've gotten a couple responses. They've asked for videos. I've sent them videos. I've sent them dates, and I don't know, man. They're just not into Stephen Michael James, so
I don't know. Just keep on trying.
yeah, that's all I can do. That's all I can do. Laughs.
Yeah.
I once opened for Jay Markovitz, guys. Come on, that means something in this scene.
So they're the ones that led to me the cream pie joke.
Yeah.
Kind of they have a chocolate orgasm cake on their menu.
Oh yeah.
And I joke about that being the best orgasm around. Anyway, so my very first time on stage, I gave a woman in the audience an orgasm.
Well,
I know. I asked her, I'm like, "Can I give you an orgasm?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I fucking had an orgasm brought out for her.
let's be honest, folks. Chocolate orgasm is way more fun than a vanilla orgasm, right?
Yeah, sometimes a bigger one too.
Once you've had chocolate, you don't want vanilla. Oh boy.
Yep.
So
okay,
during
you're
the
good.
so basically pandemic. So was that 2021? Were you around for Jai Tai? Were you in that time period?
Yeah.
So you went to Jai Tai?
Yeah. So when I was going, the
How was
Water Wheel, Jai Tai.
How was the Jai Tai scene? Because I never went there. So
It was good. I liked it.
I heard the room was hot, small.
Hot, small, but there was a lot of people kind of packed in there,
Yeah.
and no, it was a good room. There was some funny ass comedy there.
Yeah.
I went to go order some food, and they're like, "Don't worry about the food. Don't." But so I guess the food. I guess that's one of the reasons they got shut down or something because of the kitchen. I'm not
yeah.
Sure, but
Who
the comedy
knows?
room was great,
Yeah.
and they served good drinks and everything. So that's when I was drinking a lot of tequila too. So yeah, I definitely worked their bar.
Yeah. I went to Water Wheel a couple times.
Water Wheel was fun.
My friend Sam, who's a little person, he passed out and fell asleep at a open mic, and that was awesome. I also saw Keon almost get in a fight with somebody.
I was there at that one.
Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, I went to that one almost every Wednesday.
Yeah. And yeah, that was a wild one.
Yeah.
I really loved. Did you ever go to A1 Hop Shop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the triple little thing. We started at the one down from Shanghai, or like.
Yeah, was it Town Pub? I never went to that one. Was that what it was?
No,
or was it something else?
it was something else.
Yeah.
Anyway. But there was triple you could do.
Yeah,
and then
I would
end up
go.
at
I
A1
would
Hop
go
Shop.
from Shanghai to A1. I
Yep.
really loved that. That was really fun doing that. And also, I only did it one time, but I went to 4B's, and then I went to this place in like Chinatown called Joe's. Have you ever been down?
No, I haven't been to
No,
Joe's.
it was not a great mic, but it was all right. And then I heard, like the 1 week I was not there, like somebody OD'd and died, like in the bar, or somebody, I don't know. There was a lot of drama. There's been a lot of drama at mics. It's crazy. A lot of drama.
Yeah.
I started end of 22, basically, the end of 2022.
So when was January 6th? When was?
I
what
think
year
that was 2021.
So I've been in for 2.5 years. So
Yeah.
This is 24, so 23,
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
So yeah, beginning at 22.
Yeah. Yeah, 2021. That's when it was. Yeah, for sure. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
because that is when Biden took office. Basically, is he got elected in November, but then they finish off like the end of the year, and then they swore. He starts his term, and pretty crazy time. It's when I was a kid, I always thought Bill Clinton was the coolest president.
Yeah.
Like he just.
He was
You
one
know,
of the
he-
coolest
he-
presidents.
he-
as far
he-
as his saxophone. playing
Yeah,
saxophone and everything, he was
saxophone
great.
on Arsenio Hall. I'm getting my black people confused. He was on Arsenio Hall
Yeah.
playing the saxophone. He did a lot of TV appearances. He
He's a
just seemed
smooth
like,
guy, smooth
and
character.
then you find out that he was actually doing some horrible stuff to Monica Lewinsky, and
Was he doing horrible stuff? I thought it was all consensual. It was
Well,
he was married, and that was
I think
he was
it's
doing the Oval Office.
I think
was
it's
the
one
problem.
of those things.
Not like every other president hasn't done that shit.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where they're now how they're saying men in power were taking advantage of women, and so
I don't think that was the situation.
Yeah.
From watching, I think she was.
Yeah.
I think she
Well,
was. I don't know.
we weren't
But-
there. We weren't there, but
Yeah. I wasn't there, but.
and
you
then
never
now
know
you
what you
hear
see in
like
the
he
news.
was on Epstein Island, and then I mean, then you had George Bush, and Obama seemed kind of cool, but then you hear Obama like killed more people with drones than any other president, and then we had Trump, and then we had Biden, and so like, really, it's never gonna get any better, I mean, like, as far as the government goes, I think at least my philosophy is like, like care about the people around you in your community, and whatever you can do in your immediate, because, I mean, yeah, nobody wants laws that are going to put trans people in jail, or, I do think women should be able to get abortions, and especially if there's like assault and stuff part of it as well. But,
I would think it should be a given, but.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we're Washingtonians. I mean, I am a Californian, but still, we have a different mindset than I guess the rest of the world. I was saying I was spiritual earlier. Are you religious at all? Did you grow up religious? Or?
So I grew up like I was taking like Royal Rogers or whatever the church program was to like watch the kids and everything.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was like religious and like okay, so my dad. I know for a fact my dad's in heaven, but
Yeah.
I'm not really religious.
Yeah.
But I know he's in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad was like into Native American spirit culture.
Yeah, my
that
mom
kinda
was for a
thing.
long time when I was a kid.
Like this necklace
Yeah.
that I wear.
Yeah.
He carved that. It's the eagle.
Oh, nice.
But he was religious, but my mom wasn't religious. So no, I'm not religious. I don't really believe in
Yeah.
any specific religion. But yeah, I know my dad's up in heaven. So
Yeah.
sometimes when shit goes good for me, whether I call it the universe, or sometimes I'll be like, yeah, my dad can watch over me on that one, took care of it. So, but no, I'm not religious about anything.
If there is what do you think heaven is? What do you think it is? Because I'll tell you I'll tell you what I think it
I don't
is.
believe
And
in it,
I'm
really,
not.
so.
I mean, I should read the Bible probably so I can get a better idea. But what I think it is have you ever seen that movie with Robin Williams? It's called What Dreams May Come. It's like a movie where it's kind of a depressing movie where like first of all, like his kids die in like an accident or something, and then his wife is so distraught she kills herself, or like he dies or something like it's something.
No, I think I've seen that one.
Him and his kids die, and then he wakes up in heaven, and his version of heaven is a painting. He's like in a living painting that, like, I don't know, maybe his wife painted it or something like that. And in the movie, his wife is the only one left, and she kills herself. And in heaven, they say, like, when you take your own life, you go to hell. And so the movie is about him leaving heaven and going to hell to rescue his wife and bring her back to heaven.
Okay.
But what, and this movie made a huge impact on me because it's super visual. I'm talking about like the version of hell. He's walking. There's like thousands of bodies with arms coming out of the ground, and it's not like fire. It's like really dark crypt kind of stuff. And and heaven, it's like he journeys to different parts of heaven, and it's so like I feel, well, I don't know if this is real, but I want to believe that it's whatever your perfect fantasy is,
Yeah, whatever you
You know,
visualize.
whatever
your
you-
perfect scenario.
like
kinda.
like I don't
Makes
know.
sense. I think that's what they kind of preach when.
Like I don't know if it's just we're floating in clouds. I think it's maybe clouds are just one person's interpretation of it. Maybe I don't know, but maybe we're in a simulation. But that's what I want to believe.
we could be in a simulation. I mean, I've heard some of the arguments for it and everything.
Yeah.
I like all those conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
There's some that I don't believe in any of them, but there's some I'm like, okay, that can make I give it
Well,
some
the
credibility
Epstein
to-
one for sure, and then I
Well,
don't.
that's just facts, yeah.
And I will say this assassination thing. It makes.
The whole thing is there's
It
another
does-
Epstein Island.
Yeah,
The freaks don't
yeah,
stop being
yeah,
freaks.
yeah.
There's another probably
Oh,
more places.
And sure, in Asia and
Yeah,
Russia,
yeah,
they
all
got
over the
some crazy stuff that you don't even want. On the Middle East,
Rich
where all
freaks
the
aren't going to stop being rich.
the
Freaks aren't going to stop
the
being freaks.
trillionaires in the Middle East. I
Yeah.
mean, they can get whatever they.
Yeah,
Either way,
they're not going to stop.
it's weird though that I have a joke about Vince McMahon, and it's like these people that can have whatever they want and can have basically like men, they can have whatever women they want, and they have to go to the extreme because it's just everything is not good enough. They have to go and just do some crazy, weird, off the wall stuff. And anyways, we went on this weird tangent. We're here talking about comedy. So comedy's been going good for you though. I mean, you've been
Comedy's been good. I try to do it between 2 and 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I try to hit up comedies. I am getting slightly more into booked shows to
Yeah.
where I'm actually scheduled to be somewhere a few times a month.
Yeah.
I get paid every now and then.
Yeah, me
for
too.
a show.
It's fun. It's fun when people invite you to stuff.
Yeah, exactly. When someone's like, "Hey, do you want to be a feature?" It's awesome. Like tonight
Yeah.
when I'm featuring, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. Tomorrow I'm going with some people to do a private party,
Nice.
which is my first private party. So I'm just really starting to find my comedy voice.
Yeah.
I need to sit down and write more. That's my biggest thing. Is I need to actually sit down and take some of the concepts I have and write more.
What's your family think about comedy, and you doing it?
My kids have heard my jokes. My kids have heard all my jokes.
Yeah.
So the bad ones are good. I mean,
Yeah.
And my daughter's 12, my son's 15. So and they are part of my jokes. My wife doesn't really think I'm funny too much, but she just hopes. She's like, "Oh, are you getting paid for this show? When are you gonna get paid for the show?"
I feel like I've heard the same conversation. Was there ever any difficulty about you being gone a lot?
No,
Like
she
in
likes
the
me to be gone.
relationship?
Yeah.
So
We've
it's-
been together for
yeah.
20 plus years.
Yeah.
Since 2001. So 23 years we've been together.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why when I took that trip to Mexico, I was like, "Hey, it's gonna be another couple days." She's like, "Yeah, whatever. We got we're good. We're good here. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it."
Yeah.
So
and
but
also,
no,
it
she doesn't
seems
mind me be gone at night.
it seems like you guys too. Like you guys have a lot of fun. You do a lot of stuff. You do.
We're pretty active.
You
Yeah.
have parties. You hang out with family. Go on trips, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
I'm sure the real estate could be pretty lucrative sometimes.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not all the time, but
No.
sometimes. Was working in that business? Did it help you get the house that you wanted, or were you kind of stuck with?
So when we moved, we bought the house we're in about 9 years ago. And the market was still. It was right before it kind of jumped up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So our house wasn't too much, too expensive. But we were living in a rental in Kingsgate, Kirkland.
Oh yeah.
And literally our landlord called us and he was like, "Hey, we need the place for some family next month.
Yeah.
So you have 45 days to get out." So what helped me, the fact that I was an agent, I could go look at a bunch of houses real quick. I knew everybody to get pre-qualified. I knew all the steps.
Mm-hmm.
So literally we by the time we got our notice to move out, we found a house, closed on a house and everything within like 35 days.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I was an agent really helped me that.
Yeah.
And then when you buy a house, you get, as an agent, I do the buyer's commission. So
Yeah.
I get the buyer's commission.
Oh, nice.
So I get the 3% or
Yeah.
whatever that they would normally pay the buyer's agent,
That's awesome.
which does help.
Yeah.
So
Nice deal. Where are we at here? Oh, nice. Almost an hour, buddy. We've been
sweet.
talking and talking. Let's talk a little bit about Austin because you went on a trip to Austin with
it was really fun.
with some comedians. Lou,
Danny, Trevor, John, Loon, and
Rob.
Mr. Rob Conroy.
Yeah. So
Dude,
tell us about the trip, man, because I've heard
so many funny things.
I've heard a little bit from Rob about this, but I want to hear your perspective, man. How was it?
I thought I had a great time.
When was this too? This was last year sometime.
This is
It
like
was-
October, November of last year.
Okay.
So yeah, the fall started.
How was the weather in October in Texas?
It was
I
great.
imagine
It was
still
great.
pretty warm, right?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was like one of those where you walk out in the morning, and if you're in the shade, it was a little bit
Yeah.
crisp, but as soon as you were in the sun, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
All day and not too hot during the day. But no, it was beautiful. The trip really worked out well. So Loon set up the Airbnb,
Yeah.
and it was a 1-bedroom, but it was supposed to sleep like 5 or 6 people or whatever.
Uh huh.
But shit, their idea, sleeping 5 or 6 people in there, like air mattress against air mattress, blocking the front door and everything. So, like, Loon took the bedroom, and then Rob was on an air mattress on the floor, and then Danny, Trevor, John, and I, there was a king size fold out.
Yeah.
We split that,
Yeah.
and yeah, but I mean, it worked out. 1 bathroom, 4
Yeah.
guys. I mean, we all kept clean, and no one got really on
4
each other's
guys is
nerves,
better
and-
than 4 women.
Oh, yeah, that place would have been
They'd be
trash.
going through toilet paper like, you know.
Oh, dude,
like
Loon,
COVID,
Loon lit
yeah.
that bathroom up. Holy shit.
Oh man, what does that guy eat? Right?
Dude, yeah. No, he eats well, too. Loon's got a good taste.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what's fucking... Loon and I forgot who it was who he's with. They met some frat guys, and we ended up doing a show for some frat guys at a party.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking Rob. Dude, Rob was the king of that fucking show.
Yeah.
He connected with those guys perfectly.
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing. I didn't do too good on that show. I didn't have my comedy books. I didn't know
Yeah.
what jokes I was gonna tell, and I didn't have it because we left to go to the store earlier that morning, and we were walking out. We're like, fuck, man, it smells like gas out here, and fucking it really smells like gas. And we went to the store and came back, and by the time we got back, the whole fucking building was shut down. The whole block was shut down. The fire department was there. The construction crew had hit a gas line. And fucking, so
damn.
they evacuated the whole building. So we had to leave. We had like 5 minutes to gather our shit, and they kicked us out for the whole fucking day.
Oh my God.
So I didn't have my joke books. I didn't know what jokes I was gonna do, so I couldn't think of them. Fucking, so
Yeah, I hate going up without my notes. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like I still rely on them, especially for newer jokes. I really, when you tell the same jokes over and over again, it can get a little stale. So it's nice to throw something new in, just anything.
yeah,
And I usually like to start the set with like something new, just that way I can get excited, and then I can get into the other jokes.
yeah, exactly.
But I do have different strategies for different places. I've been starting I saw you at Club Comedy like month ago or something like that. I think that was the first time you were there, right?
Club comedy, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Well,
it's
I
a
think
different.
another one other
Yeah,
time,
it's a different room. It's a little. It's not comedy bar, but it is still. Gotta watch what you say a little bit, but it's not as. I feel like comedy bar is like. I said the word Hispanics, and I heard people gasp, like,
Really?
yeah. So I was like, all right, that joke might not work. And I usually say Mexicans in the joke, but I said Hispanics because I thought it'd be nicer, and no, they weren't into that. So, but like club comedy, and what I've noticed, at least I was there last night. The guy Rick, he's a comic. Yeah, I gotta have to go to the bathroom soon. That's why I'm like looking at the clock. Rick Taylor, he's the owner there. He's a comic too.
Okay.
And
I think I met him once outside.
yeah, and I think he's great, man. I mean, like, I've heard people in the scene kind of talk a little shit about him, but
I like the room.
But
You know-
no, him in particular,
Yeah,
and like, he's been cool to me, and even last night he was kind of joking and turning towards me and joking a little bit like, hey, I'm a comic, like, hey, I'm just joking with him about this other comic that's on stage right now. So and the room it's been fun. Like last night I basically started off the set by saying, I kind of thought I try and channeled Tony Hinchcliffe a little bit. I said, hey, you guys seem like a fun crowd. Can we tell some adult jokes? Is that okay? And then after that, they were on board, man. And just like every joke seemed to be. So I think
that's
it's just, I don't want to say the person's name, but there's been a couple comics that tell great jokes, but the way they tell them, it seems aggressive and that people don't laugh. And if you can at least let them know that you're not serious before, and like, even you don't have to say, hey, I'm not serious about this, but if you can casually kind of like joke into like, hey, what you're about to hear is not what I really feel.
Mm-hmm.
Then oh my gosh, wow, how's it going, man?
Mr. Robbie Schrader.
Yeah. So he's already been on the pod. He doesn't want to crowd us here, but
I get that. I
yeah.
understand exactly. What you're
So
saying.
you know, it's but like here at Whiskey Mile, I know the people here. It's a bar. You can have a little bit more fun. You can like I have some stuff I'm gonna do. I have some Trump stuff I'm gonna do tonight, and if it goes well here, maybe I'll do it somewhere else. But and then Tacoma, man, like those people get down.
I did
man.
Tacoma Comedy Club on Tuesday.
Yeah, Sixth and Proctor, man, those guys.
I do them next Thursday.
Yeah, those guys get down. You know, I want to shout out to my favorite Tacoma comics: Mason A, Logan Cantrell, Zach Sommerfeld, all funny people. Allison Fine, I guess she's also South. Big fan of her. Corey Bennett, do you know him? Corey.
I might have. Yeah.
He's really funny. He's gay. I'm sure that he doesn't mind me telling you, but yeah, he's a funny gay comedian.
Yeah.
Tony Cardoza, who was here last week, great guy. A lot of great people from the South down there.
Yeah, I look forward to it. This is the first time I got signed up. I did the online sign up, and they put me at downtown this week, and then the 6th and Proctor next week.
And then there's some crazy people like Jay Money. If you ever find out who Jay Money is, he is an experience.
Really? Yeah, I like meeting all the comics, man. I haven't had a personal issue with any club owners or comics yet.
Yeah.
But of course, I don't cause a lot of waves. I just kind of keep to myself for the most part, just because I have a lot of fucking social anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't really talk to people too much.
I think you talk to people all the time. What are you talking?
I don't know.
I think maybe if people talk to you, you talk back.
Yeah,
maybe
if people
like
talk to me, I talk back. But I have a lot of social anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was drinking a fifth a day. Tequila is fucking just to get out of the house sometimes. So I have a lot of it. I just got to get through it.
I will say I don't have any problems with anybody in the scene, and hopefully nobody has any problems with me. Last night I was at Shanghai, and I thought it was fine. It was a decent experience, and the other comics that performed were great, and I definitely respect them, and they're awesome. So them and I might not be the best of friends, but we're still comics, and we're still doing our thing. So shout out to them. But I was at Shanghai last night. They're starting a Wednesday mic now.
I heard that. Yeah.
There's only about 5 people, but yeah. Shout out to them for giving another option for local comics. Said we do the Thursday.
That'd be a good one to
thing
hit
here.
before Flight Path.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Flight Path is great. I've only been there once because I was
hit that
working Wednesdays forever up until a few months ago. But
I've done it a few times. It's a good
Brandon
station.
White's awesome. Great comic down there. Yeah, man. What do you want to do next in comedy? You just want to continue to get booked and work on the craft?
I need to sit down and write more.
Do you have any specific goals? You want to do like a 15-minute set, a 20-minute set?
Oh no, I definitely want to
be
be able to do an hour set. I definitely
an hour one day, but do you have like 20 minutes already? Or
I can do a good solid 10 to 15.
I'm right around the 10 to 15 because I did 13. And there's some stuff I could have cut out, you know. Yeah,
exactly. When I get up to in between, like about that 13-minute mark, I'm kind of grasping at some of the concepts that aren't really touched up.
Yeah,
that's what if I actually sit down, I have a real hard time. My ADD brain keeps me fucking bouncing around all the time. So if I can when I actually sit down and write and look at my stuff and go, okay, this would be funnier, I actually get shit done. Yeah. It's just sitting down and focusing. But that's in all aspects of my life. Actually sitting down and doing real estate, actually, building the shit around my house, actually taking care of the kids, do that shit.
You got any shows coming up soon? Or?
I got my first private show tomorrow. Like I said, it's Tacoma Comedy Club next week. I got one or two other things on the calendar right now. But I haven't I got to get my other things. I got to edit my videos. I got to go through my videos.
I have a lot of stuff that I need to edit too.
And start picking clips. I don't even have like a 10-minute set to send to somebody to do audition for an audition set. And that's crucial. You know what I mean? You need,
Yeah.
because everybody wants to see a set if they haven't seen you.
Well, and I will say Club Comedy and Comedy Bar, they both have an option to where they record the sets with a nice camera, and you can buy it from them. So
Yeah.
you could always keep that in mind as well. I know Club Comedy is $25. I don't know how much Comedy Bar is, but it's cool, man. There's a lot of options up here for us to help us out, and comics are creating websites. Mics are popping up all the time, and I just think, Seattle's got a bad rap for comedy and the comedy scene and overall in the country, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not. There's some great comics here, man. There's some really great comics. Not just open micers like me and you, who've only been doing it a couple years, but like I said, Adam Tiller earlier, Quinn Fitzgerald, who I saw last night. He's great, man, and he's like way younger than me, and that guy he's so comfortable on stage.
Yeah, so Tony V's, Quinn's the only one, the first one, and the only one to give me like criticism on one of my jokes that I did at Tony V's. He's like, dude, you cannot do that here. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go home and rewrite it. And I rewrote it and came back and did the joke, and it worked out better.
Yeah.
And it was the one where it was my racist slug bug joke. Okay, so where you yell out the color and you hit the person.
Yeah.
But we're down in Mexico, so you got to yell out the color.
Yeah.
in Spanish.
Oh yeah.
And I hit my buddy that's black, and I yell out in negro.
Yeah.
Right. So the very first time I did it, the very first time I did it, I go and I hit Josh and yell out negro, and I yelled it, into the mic.
Yeah.
And I think some of the people in the bar, all they heard was me yell out negro. You know what I mean? They didn't hear the punch, they didn't hear the setup, they didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can't do that here. So I changed the joke to now I let the crowd yell it out.
Yeah.
I let them do the Zul, the Rojo, and then
It's very smart. That's
and then it flies like that. But me standing on stage with a mic yelling out negro, even if it's just the color black in Spanish, did not fly well.
Yeah. I used to get nervous buying Negro Modelos from the store. So.
Yeah.
Well, Chip, man, we've been doing this over an hour now.
Dude, I could talk to you forever.
I know. If I didn't have to pee, I would just go for another hour. But
I tell you more about the Pleasure Connoisseur store.
Oh, dude.
All the other shit.
Well,
crazy shit.
we have
to Amsterdam for a cannabis cup.
Hey, man, we could do another episode anytime you're here. Let's do it.
Sounds good.
So,
thanks for having me on.
Dude, I don't know if you have an Instagram, but you should get one. I think it's very important for a comic.
I think I might
it's
Jake E.T. comedy.
Yeah,
or something
but there's
that.
no pictures on it. So I would say
I need
utilize.
to set it up. I'm just not good at socials.
Try to
That's
utilize that. And yeah, man, I'd say you got some great stuff. I think you're not just a great comic and not just a great dude, but I do like you because, again, you're a dad, you're a husband, and I know the struggle of like trying to balance work and your personal life and trying to do this shit as well. So awesome job, man. I'll tell you
about
it.
how we foster to adopt our kids. Too. That was a whole fucking
Yeah.
process. Anyway, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
JKT, so follow him on Facebook, but
Facebook,
JKT Comedy on Instagram. We're going to get it set up for him. We're going to get him YouTube. You can follow me at Steven MJ Comedy. Every Thursday, we're here at the Whiskey Mile, Sam's Open Mic. We got a feature every week. Jake's got a feature tonight with Jonah. And we got a lot of people. Man, I am so excited. There's a lot of great features coming up, but the end of September, Taylor Clark's going to feature here.
Nice.
And, he's awesome, man. He's big deal for this bar. And then I got a show coming up here at the end of September called Emo's Not Funny, and we're going to do comedy and karaoke. So look forward to that. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast, and I'm going to pee. So thank you.
Stay tuned for more
Let's
stuff.
drink some Coronas.
Yes.
Rising up in the comedy scene, he's a force to be reckoned. Comedy Simp, the podcast you can't resist. Stephen Michael James, the host you won't wanna miss. From Seattle to the world, his humor will persist. Join the fun, get ready to enlist.